Hi, I'm Joe Ravita from Empire Music, empiremusiconline.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 412-343-5299, or you can text me, 412-915-7118. This is part 3 of our virtual Taylor Guitars Roadshow. Hopefully you checked out the other 2 parts. If not, the first part was the 200 and 200 plus that were new for 2020, so that new part of the line. Then part 2 was all the new Builders Edition models for 2020, which would include the 324 CE Builders Edition, the 652 CE, the 900 series, and the 816 CE with the sound port. Really, really cool. Please check them out. And if you have any questions about any of those guitars, we can definitely hook you up on them. We have obviously free shipping. We have 48 months financing. We've got tons of killer deals. Call us for pricing and all that good stuff. The third part is I want to do the most traditional part of a Taylor Roadshow. So if you've ever been to a Roadshow, what they like to do is they go first kind of by body shapes. And I saved that for last because I want to show off the new models first. But the core of what Taylor really does and what set them apart from other manufacturers when they hit the scene was the Grand Auditorium. It's their iconic shape. And they've offered us really comfortable shapes. And now they have really 4, and there's going to be a 5th shape, the Grand Orchestra, that is being re-released here in 2020, but it's obviously been delayed, so I don't have that model. But I'm going to go through the Grand Concert, the Grand Auditorium, the Grand Pacific, and the Grand Symphony. And these guitars represent 4 different sonic palettes that you can get with Taylor guitars. And what I did is I chose all spruce rosewood instruments to show them off. So I have an 812 CE, which is your Grand Concert, an 814 CE, which is the Grand Auditorium, an 816 CE, which is the new Grand Symphony with the sound port, and then I had to get a 717 for the Grand Pacific. You know, Taylor does not make an 800 series Grand Pacific model, but all spruce rosewood models, so that'll stay consistent. And what's really cool and a good way of looking at this is when you find a tone wood that you like the sound of, what the body shape allows is it allows for you to get different types of tones out of it, and it allows for different styles of play. Big thing I talk about with people who are looking at guitars, whether it be online, on the phone, or in person, is I always say you want the guitar to be there for you. You want to play the guitar. You don't want the guitar to play you. Oftentimes when we're going through the guitar buying process or we're just trying to learn about guitars, as we play different instruments, we all of a sudden become what that instrument wants us to be as opposed to like what we are. So if we're a fingerstyle guitar player and you pick up the Grand Pacific and all of a sudden you become Johnny Cash, that's cool, but if that's not really the type of guitar player you are, we don't want to own that instrument, right? It's just like that might be something we'd add to the collection later. We want to focus on an instrument that is better suited for us. We want to have the right tool for the job. Conversely, it's like if we're a big strummer, maybe picking up the Grand Concert isn't the ideal tool. So we want to make sure that we kind of get a good understanding of those body shapes and what they do. So I want to start with the Grand Concert. It's the small body. And you can see it next here to the Grand Auditorium, right? So definitely a smaller instrument, and Taylor's smallest full body guitar in their lineup. And something else also that is unique to this guitar is it's got a shorter scale, 24.9 inch scale. So what does that mean? Your scale length is the distance from here to here. On most Taylor guitars that are Grand Auditoriums, Pacifics, Symphonies, etc., they're 25.5 inch scales, so they're a little bit longer. The shorter scale allows for a little bit easier play because the strings aren't pulled as far, so they're not as taut. And then you do get a little bit more bottom end out of the instrument when you have a shorter scale, which helps in a small body design. What are you getting with all of these guitars? So before we get too hot and heavy on the Grand Concert, what's really something, my favorite thing about Taylor guitars, outside of their quality and their dedication to making the finest instruments every day, is that they make a brand promise that it makes them unique. Every guitar that you will get in the US lineup will have V-Class bracing now. That is a huge step. It's been a massive change in their sonic profile. The guitars have become more dynamic, have definitely a greater range, and I think more response across all the guitars. So everything you'll see here will have V-Class bracing. Now on every single Taylor guitar, you get ebony fretboards and bridges. A really, really amazing feat. For those of you that don't know, Bob Taylor personally went over into Africa and really teamed up with a family and a company over there and has helped them get to a place where they can use the wood and respect the wood's characters and not throwing it out just because it's not perfectly black. You'll see a lot of these guitars, like this guitar is a pretty black board, right? And this is what used to be all that we'd use. Well, now you can see something here, this beautiful marbled ebony that goes on a lot of guitars. And before, we were just knocking that tree over, finding out it was like that and not using it. So now it's available, for us, and it makes the guitar more sustainable, which is important. So Taylor does an amazing job with this. But let's talk about the grand concert. So I always think, like, when you look at an instrument, it's telling you a lot about itself. You can see it's a thinner guitar. It's nice and narrow at the waist, small at the shoulder, and the lower bout isn't as big as the other guitars. So what should this allow for? Well, when you get a smaller guitar, it's easier to push the air, so we get more vibration faster. So with lighter playing, if we like to pick lightly, or a light medium strummer or a fingerstyle player, you're gonna get a lot of tone right away. So just to show you, I'm gonna strum through a chord really lightly, and you're gonna get this really sweet tone. And the key to this is the smaller bodies will give you better quality tone with less work. So let's go ahead and check it out. So what do we get? We still got a lot of definition, a lot of articulation. It's just like a really, really big part of the grand concert story is that every nuance we can drag out of the guitar with ease. Simple hammer-ons, as we play higher up and down the neck, the guitar will be extremely precise. A really, really fun part about this guitar is that you feel it responding to you right away. I always think of this as like a sports car, right? You don't go to the car lot and look at a two-door sports car and wonder about how many groceries you can fit in the back. You're thinking about how it's going to handle around the curves and how it's going to accelerate and give you immediate satisfaction. This is exactly like that. It really, really plays right to that style of music, but it will open up, and that's what I'm going to show you next. It does have a really, really impressive headroom and a lot of bottom end for a small body guitar, and this is a big part of the V-Class design, is really open these guitars up. So let's check that out. So what's really cool about this instrument, it's got a lot more headroom now than it had previous with the X bracing. So we're able to really, really open up. So if you are a singer-songwriter, or if you play in a worship group, or you play in a band, or you want a bigger sounding guitar, but you like the short scale, you like a smaller body, this guitar will still complement you. It's not gonna be the loudest guitar that you're gonna hear today. This has the expression system, and most Taylor guitars will have the expression system 2 in it. So if we're gonna play live, we can always amplify the instrument to worry about volume. But the immediate response, what's our story here? The grand concert gives us exactly what we want really, really quickly, but still has the ability to open up. So really, really an impressive instrument. Now I'm gonna go to the 814 CE. Now any guitar, so basically what you're gonna notice is the last number in the model number will tell you the body shape. So here we had a 2. So that's a grand concert, anything that ends in a 2. You'll find that like a 12 model, so like a 312, 412, 512, or you'll see things that say 22, 522, K22. Anything that ends in the 2 will be a grand concert. Well, here we have the 4s. So anything that ends in a 14 or a 24 will be a grand auditorium. And you can see this instrument's larger than the last, like I said. V-Class brace, spruce rosewood. What makes this guitar famous, and I think this probably, to me, is Taylor's most famous instrument, the 814 CE is able to do it all. It's able to handle the intricate playing of fingerstyle and lead guitar, and it's still able to open up. And that's really all the Grand Auditorium is. They're the most versatile in the line. So whether you're looking for something that will allow for many styles of music, or if you're looking for like one guitar to fill up, like if I had to just have one instrument, I'd have a Grand Auditorium for sure. It's because this can really do it all. So let's just strum it for you and see what you think. Better sustain because it's bigger, and obviously a throatier, darker, richer sound. As the guitar gets bigger, you're going to get more of that bottom end. We still have that kind of like that hourglassy shape. We have a nice big bass response here because we have a enlarged lower bout, but we still have the cinched waist and the cinched shoulders. So we still get that clarity and definition. Taylor's, the thing I think I've understood Taylor to be forever is all about definition. They've always been the most defined sounding guitars, the most even sounding, the most balanced. And over time, it's really gotten even truer with the, up to now, the V-class bracing. This instrument, which makes it really fun to play, is we can pick it lightly, we can do lead, and then we can do heavy strumming. So let's go ahead and just do like kind of like a little, I'll just do some individual picking through some strumming, and then I'll just show you some single note stuff here too. What's really cool about this instrument is you play it as a guitar player, even a mediocre one like myself. When you're playing, these individual notes still have full body. You know, like here, it's really full sounding. We're not tiny, we're not brash, we're not like all twangy. It's like, that's not happening. You really, really sound nice and full. But as you open up and you demand more response from the instrument, you demand more volume from the instrument, it's gonna go ahead and stay really true to itself, which I really love. So the Grand Auditorium is definitely Taylor's most iconic shape, and it's definitely its most popular because it can really do all styles of music. So if you're looking for that go-to guitar, you find your tone wood, and you get it in a Grand Auditorium shape, you're gonna find that it's got plenty of bottom end, the mids are lively, and that top end will have that nice sparkle, but it's not gonna be too brash. So Grand Auditorium, again, as you get up and bigger in size, you're gonna get more bass, and you'll eventually start, and you're gonna see here that you're gonna start to trade some things off here from the Grand Auditorium, and you're gonna start to get different types of tones instead. And the next thing I wanna talk to you about is the Grand Pacific. Now, what is this all about? This is an Andy Powers design, and what's really unique to this is it's a slope shoulder dreadnought, which Taylor really has never made before. And what they're trying to do here is they're trying to give you an iconic body shape that's obviously classic. So if you're looking for those traditional like Americana type tones, but it's got Taylor's stamp on it. It's got V-class bracing, it's got Taylor's playability, and it's got the clarity and the response you'd expect out of a Taylor guitar. oftentimes, up until really like this guitar, I always thought like when you get a guitar that's built like this, or more of a square shoulder dreadnought, it's like you basically have to just bring a sledgehammer to it to get the best tone out of it. What we have to do is we have to play really hard to get great tone. And while that's fun if that's what we do, it really kind of makes the guitar, really limited to that style. And now if we have lots of guitars, it's always good to buy an instrument that's great and perfect for its only purpose. But what Taylor was able to do is take a body shape like this and give us that type of tone, but it still stays really, really versatile. When you look at a guitar, it can tell you a lot about what you should think sonically about it. If you look at the Grand Concert and the Grand Auditorium, what you see shoulders, super cinched waist, and then the lower bout is expanded. It's kind of, greater than all the others. Well here, while that's still the case, your lower bout is the widest part, obviously, of the guitar. Here, our mids aren't as cinched in, and our shoulders aren't either. So this tells us a lot about the guitar, because when we tap here, what do we hear? You're kind of hearing the bottom end of the guitar is going to come out of this big belly. The middle of your sound are going to come out of the middle of the waist of the guitar, and then a lot of your top end tones are going to come out of the top shoulders of the guitar. It's kind of how I think about it. So how exaggerated the differences are. If this was very cinched in, we'd think, okay, lots of bass, not very many mids, and then more treble. Here, since this guitar is more uniform compared to the others, we actually get a lot more mid out of the instrument. So I want you to hear that, just playing some basic chords. What I noticed immediately in playing this is, man, those mids are really, really lively. A lot of times when someone thinks about this guitar, they're thinking it's going to be bassier than all the others. And while it's got a lot of bass response because it's a powerful guitar, its shape is a little bit larger, so we have that ability to get that big boomy tone. It's not EQ'd in a really skewed fashion, so we don't have all the mids that are super compressed. A lot of times when we're hearing a lot more bass, what we're really hearing is the next frequency. When we strum through a chord, we're getting a lot of these notes, and then when we strum through the middle, since the waist is cinched or the tone wood is more compressed, we don't really hear that. So you hear all this, then it's a little bit quieter, then you get that top end that's real sparkly. Here, man, Taylor just kills it with this, because what they've done is they've allowed the guitar to still be able to be played smartly, easily. You don't have to punish the instrument. And those mids are really, really lively, so it's definitely more responsive than a typical dreadnought to me. I think that's the one thing you'll notice, is that you can really draw a lot more sounds out of this guitar. But if you do want to punch it and really give it a lot of attack, it'll handle it. But you do get plenty of mids here, and it's really, really balanced. So this is cool for if you're looking, again, like more traditional type tone, and you're looking also for something that's nice and midsy. So if you like to do a lot of hammer-ons and you're a big strummer, it can absolutely handle that, which is awesome. So the Grand Pacifics have done awesome for us. Taylor's not been known as a dreadnought company since, my family took on Taylor guitars in, I think, 1994, 1995. I was 14, 15 years old. And this was never the shape of a guitar that was super popular in the Taylor lineup. And now we really, really do sell a lot of these guitars, because what it gives you is it gives you the ability to do more things than a traditional guitar shaped like this would be. It's going to give you those traditional tones because it's shaped like that, and they did a great job in designing it. But they did find a way to allow us to keep our Taylor DNA, a lot of articulation, a lot of lead work. If you want to even do fingerstyle, individual picking, it's really going to be responsive for that. So Grand Pacifics, if you're into these, give us a shout, and we can help you out with the full lineup. Now, last but certainly not least, is the 816 CE Builder's Edition, and this is definitely the most unique of the guitars in this lineup. We've got something crazy going on here. We've got the new sound port. What's this all about? So this is a Builder's Edition model, and the Grand Symphony lineup in Taylor, I felt, has always been kind of misunderstood. The trick with it is it's only slightly really bigger across the lower bout and the mid through compared to a Grand Auditorium guitar. And the story with it is always like, hey, Grand Symphonies are that big strumming guitar. Well, it kind of pigeonholed it into this kind of strummy instrument. You do get more bass out of this guitar. I think this is gonna be kind of the bassiest sounding instrument. And why? Because again, look at our mids. The middle of the guitar is cinched in, unlike that Grand Pacific, there's more squared off. So I think you'll hear that. The sound port adds like a 3D surreal surround sound effect to it, but the general tone of it is gonna be the same. What I like about what they've done with the V-Class is the V-Class evened everything out. It made the whole entire instrument more responsive and brought mids really to the game on guitars where that might have struggled. It's funny because a lot of times with X bracing, what we'd find in the Taylor lineup is someone would pick up a Grand Symphony or Grand Auditorium Rosewood guitar, and since this is Rosewood, they would assume it's gonna be super bassy. And what they'd tell us is, wow, it's kind of bright. And it's not that we didn't think that the instrument had a nice top end. It kind of stands out. And why does it stand out? Because we have all this bass. So we know on a guitar like this, we have Rosewood, the bass is up, the mids are pushed down, and the trebles are up. We'd get to it, and man, that treble would hit you right in the face because we'd strum a nice big bottom end, the mids would be compressed, and by the time that top end strings hit you, oh man, it would be a lot. Well, here, we don't have to sweat that. We've got a more even response, and this guitar is definitely gonna be, it's just a powerhouse. Now what's important about that is I hope you heard, it does sound a touch more compressed, right? The middle of the instrument isn't as lively. It's definitely got that more bottom end boomy sound. Let's play the Dreadnought again. Hear that? It's like right away, I think you should notice that the middle of the guitar, overall, it's more, I don't like the word bright, it's more balanced, so we get kind of like a punchier tone, whereas here, I feel like you hear that extra bass and that extra top end sparkle a little bit more. So this to me sounds most like a guitar that's got more bottom end. So if you like to do a lot of alternating bass line kind of chords, it's suited for that because we get a lot of bass response out of it, which is great. But what really makes this instrument stand out is, again, compared to its predecessors and guitars that are, well, there's not too many guitars that are shaped like this on the market, but we get that really great sweet mids. Now I've done a video on this guitar specifically. We've likely done videos on, if you check our YouTube channel, you'll see videos of all these. I just did one on here explaining the sound port more in depth, and I don't want to get too heavy into that. But we did it with 2 microphones so you can hear it with the sound hole covered, and then it's just as it is right now. The big thing I want you to take away from today, if anything, is A, we can help you find the guitar that matches the playing style that you're looking to play. If you're a singer-songwriter, if you're looking for something bigger, whatever type of tone you're looking for, Taylor makes a model for it, and we are proud to know that the different tone woods, so we can help you understand what mahogany is going to do differently than rosewood or the Ovencall, or if you like a blackwood top or a cedar top, what that's going to do to the tone and how it works with the body shapes. So you can always reach us 412-343-5299, or you can text me 412-915-7118. We've got all these models in stock, tons of combinations of tone woods. And obviously we set up our guitars and we ship them out and we'll hook you up with a great deal. But I want you to think about when you're considering your next Taylor guitar, or if you're just kind of like trying to gather information, you can always call us and ask. Look at the body shape and say, hey, look, what don't I have in my current collection, or what am I trying to accomplish? And then as we can walk you through the process, whether it's in person or online or on the phone, we can help you shape your tone with the right Taylor guitar shape. So this was part 3 of the virtual Taylor Guitar Roadshow. Please check out the first 2 parts. Ideally, if you love it, please subscribe to our channel. We're putting out tons of content. And understand that Taylor's really thought their line through with the different body shapes, but what they're doing to help complement that is they're giving you the V-class bracing and the playability you expect from all Taylors across the board. So you don't have to give up anything to get a different body shape. So reach out to us, Empire Music, empiremusiconline.com in Pittsburgh. I'm Joe Ravita with the Taylor Guitar Virtual Roadshow. Thanks for watching.